make a difference and touch the youth where they are.
Bringing that culture side to nice network.
I saw that the youth was looking up to us, and we got a lot of programs, but it's not everything.
Welcome to 11 Alive Uninterrupted, a space for in-depth conversations on topics that impact you with people who are making a difference in our community. In this special edition, we are focusing on Atlanta's Black youth and the help they need when it comes to safety, mentorship, and resources. And we are dedicated to finding solutions to keep them safe and help them succeed. 11 Alive Uninterrupted's Black Youth Town Hall, sponsored by Grady Hospital, brought together local leaders, hip-hop artists, school officials, parents, and teens at the Auburn Avenue Research Library to start this important conversation. And co-hosting the event with me is the one and only V103's DJ Greg Street. It's a topic that's personal to Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens.
All of us are all in this together for the Year of the Youth.
And as a product of Atlanta and now a leader in the city that raised him, Mayor Dickens launched the Year of the Youth initiative to provide Atlanta's youth with resources like jobs and mentorship opportunities.
There's kids that, just want an opportunity, a fair shake, a fair opportunity, a fair shot at having a successful life.
The mayor's goal, expand opportunities for this young generation before preventable tragedies and vigils.
Gun violence is a plague, and it is something that's affecting all the communities across America.
We are so glad Mayor Dickens joined us for this important community conversation. Thank you all so much for coming to 11 Alive's Black Youth Town Hall. I am one of your co-hosts, Naima Abdullahi, with 11 Alive, and sitting right here next to me is the legendary DJ Greg Street. This is a full circle moment though, because when I was in college, I interned under Greg Street. So for me, community has always been something that has been synonymous with everything he does. So learning from him and how to really impact the community and to always be there was something I learned earlier on in my career. What does community mean to you, Greg?
The foundation of everything that we do in the community is very important. We've gotten away from a lot of the fundamental things that makes the community strong. So this is like what we do is like, if you're really concerned, you understand what's going on in the community on the left side, you should also know what's going on the right side.
So the mission behind this is, how can we address the issue? How can we look at the void and really examine it, not only from what's going on now, but from a multi-generational standpoint? And then how do we kind of fill that void with resources, access, opportunity, mentorship, so many things happening at the grassroots level. You may not see the foot soldiers every single day, but there are people doing this 365. So that's why it was so important for us to have this conversation. And the beautiful part about it is, there is something incredible happening in Atlanta this year. But before we talk about that, you saw the flyers on who all the speakers are today, but there was someone who was not on the flyers who wanted to be part of this conversation. And for us, it was something that just made so much of a synergy, right? Where it just made perfect sense. Please, round of applause for the Mayor of Atlanta, Andre Dickens. Thank you so much for coming.
All right.
When we invited you, we were so glad that you said you wanted to come pull up and have a conversation with us. This is the most Atlanta panel you will ever see. And it's such a beautiful thing. As a product of Atlanta, what does this community engagement mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Born and raised in the city of Atlanta, went through Atlanta Public Schools, Mays High School, and to be able to go to college here, to Georgia Tech and to Georgia State. So all things youth in Atlanta really touched my heart. It really helps me to, know what my mission is. It gets me up in the morning. Even my daughter, she's now 18, about to go off to college. So I think about youth every single day. And so that's why 2023, I have deemed it the Year of the Youth in Atlanta. I've declared that this year is the year that everything we do, we have to focus on how to educate, how to empower, engage, and employ young people. And for me, young people is age 0 infant all the way to 24.
Absolutely.
So 0 to 24, everything that we're doing is trying to serve these young people to remove barriers so they can get to where they want to be in life, so that they can be not just survive, but thrive.
Being a true AT alien, Andre, kicking off this panel for this Black Youth Town Hall, what comes to mind?
Yeah, thinking about Atlanta and the history that we've had of great legends, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. being one, and Maynard Jackson and so many others, leaders all across the world that had their roots in Atlanta, and even folks that have moved to Atlanta to now, be able to add to our tapestry of beautiful people and our culture. There's a Kenyan phrase by this group called the Maasai people in Kenya. They're known to be warriors, and what they say is they greet.
I lived in Kenya, by the way, so I love the fact that you're talking about
That's
this.
what's up. And so these folks, when they greet each other, you know how we say, how you doing? And everybody says fine. Well, their greeting is, how are the children? And everybody says, all the children are well. Well, they recognize that their community isn't well if their children aren't well. If the wealthy are well, if the adults are well, that's fine, but that's not the objective. If the children, the most vulnerable parts of our community are well, all the children are well means I'm doing fine, means the community is doing fine. And so that's the mentality that I come into this with, is that I want to make sure that all our children are well. Atlanta has been named the best city in the United States to live by Money Magazine. Bloomberg has said Atlanta has more going for us than any other city. But what I do know is that we have some challenges in our youth that's making it an inequitable situation. Some youth have it and some don't. It's time for us all to wrap our arms around these young people.
And one of the things that really does separate the youth in Atlanta, whether they live in Bankhead or Buckhead or no matter, is opportunities and resources. So how do we bridge that gap? Yes, we can talk about data, we can talk about statistics with what's happening in the youth, but resources may not be something that they have access to, where their imagination may not have ever been sparked in a way that they can reach their fullest potential. So how does Year of the Youth accomplish that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. We know that we live in a tale of two cities. I mean, this nation is being divided to haves and have-nots, those that have significant means to pay for things, and those that are just struggling to get by. So many families have more month than money. And so when they have more month than money, every month they're trying to make a decision. Like, what am I going to pay for? I'm going to pay for my rent. I'm going to pay for some food. I might not make the healthiest choice because I only got so much. Got to pay for medicine. What am I going to do about childcare? After school program costs you $100 for karate. Costs you, $200 for computer coding classes. And so what we wanted to do was say we want to make after school programming free to low cost. At most of our programming is free. And so you come to the City of Atlanta Parks and Rec. You got some nonprofits, the YMCAs. We're saying in this year, we've given out $1 million plus in youth development grants to nonprofits that just got their hold on a certain segment of community. They may have 50 kids that they're caring for. We're giving them fuel so that they can serve 75. We're helping them put more gas in the bus or to be able to have more seats at the table or more kits for STEM, whatever it is, so that if you're serving 100, you can serve 125. If you're serving, 80, you can serve 100. So that's what we're helping them do so that, moms are just struggling, working 2 jobs. And so we're trying to
on the table.
Yeah, to put food on the table. So we're trying to fill that blank spot where, they're at home by themselves. And some of them are taking care of their younger brothers and sisters. And so what do? We're trying to give them good after school programming and then some of the older kids, giving them jobs.
Right.
They need to earn some money. They got to help either pay for things in their family or they want fancy jeans and movie tickets and Six Flags too. I was a kid. I used to cut grass, and so now we're trying to help them get $15, $16 an hour. And that's why we have our summer youth employment program.
I love the fact that you're addressing the socioeconomic side. One thing as far as, TV and radio that we often talk about is youth violence.
Yeah.
And a lot of family members are looking for more conversations about prevention, intervention, solutions.
Yeah.
What do you say to those parents who somehow feel a little hopeless, a little overwhelmed, as if they've done everything they could to save their children and they're just looking for answers?
Yeah, I mean, this is the real tender moment. Something we have to kind of lean into is a lot of stuff is happening at the same time.
Right.
The world is getting more complex. Gun access is just rampant. People have access to guns. We're in a state that allows you to just carry a weapon. And there's guns everywhere. And then there's, a lot of challenges with within the household, within the family unit, and also with money. And so you have people being attracted to social media saying, hey, if I can see somebody around the corner that got a Benz or got some fancy stuff, I got to go get it, because the number of influences in my family or in my community that are positive are outweighed by all the impressions I'm getting on social media and in other forms of media. And then also I just, feel like I have lack. I have something that's less than what somebody else has. So how do I go obtain it? We're trying to invest in organizations, Black Men Lab, 100 Black Men, and various other. We're co-partnering with Next Level Boys Academy and saying, when parents say, I don't know what to do with him or her, that struck me, because we've created programs. We got a lot of nonprofits in Atlanta, but it's not everything. I've talked to young people that's like, man, I just need a hug. I just need a mentor. I just need somebody just to talk to me. I'm thankful for the programs. I'm going to midnight basketball. I'm showing up to the after school thing, and that's good. And I need that. That'll keep me out of trouble, but I'm still lost in some way. I mean, like kids have articulated to me, teens have said, I just need somebody to just talk to me, just hug me, take me to your job, take me to the things that you go to. And so now we're trying to do those things, but some deprogramming has to happen, some help, some hug, so a little bit of everything is happening on those things.
I think we get caught up in the fact that we want to be known that we are here helping people. We gotta let people understand that if you just help one kid, if you take out time to help one kid in your neighborhood, and if you're doing something positive on your job and your career, don't be one of those people that, I don't do social media. I don't have time for that, because you got so much negativity on social media. Yeah. If the positive people are not demonstrating what they're doing or giving you some insight on how I can attain your career, I can look and see what you're doing to do what you do.
Right.
All I have to look up to is the negativity, which is trending, which is in the algorithm, which is getting all the looks.
It's key to know that, absence of positivity, the void is there. It's just negative. So that's why I don't mind people showing, hey, I did a good thing today. I don't mind people saying, hey, I got a good grade on the test as a kid, because the rest of the kids on the, if all they're showing is fights and negative stuff and, jokes and stuff, I want the kid that says, hey, I moved my average up from an 85 to a 91, and let people be like, hooray. I want people to say, hey, I worked extra hours so I can afford, this prom dress, or that I can afford this opportunity to go on this class trip that costs $300. And
I got $5 million in scholarships.
Yeah, I got
$1 million in scholarships.
I want to see the positive. I want to see that. And I think that, that'll help these mothers that are struggling and these fathers that are just trying to do their thing. It shows us that we all can be influencers. 100%. You ain't got to have 1 million followers. The person sitting next to you at this desk at your job, you're influencing them by your good behavior. This person that's sitting next to you on this pew at church, you're influencing them, and they're influencing you. So somebody that's your friend, you got 350 friends on Facebook, and you're posting some positive stuff, you can impact 350 lives. So many times right now, everybody's trying to get to 1 million followers, and they want to have $1 million nonprofit. Well, I'd much rather us get to the day where all of us are just really one-on-one human beings helping out each other, and that the community is benefiting from our collective action versus we're just waiting on Tyler Perry to drop some money out of the sky and post about it.
A lot of kids are caught up into the hype, and they don't understand. If you're in business, if you're really doing business, there's a difference in being entertainers need a lot more followers, because they make a small amount of money from the stuff that they do.
I think what it really comes down to is if community is part of your checklist, you will never touch the community. So if you need the community for brand purposes or on the transactional side, you ain't gonna touch the people where they are. But if you treat the community as something that made you, that you're gonna give back to, then it's a full circle moment to help. And that's why I wanna point out the fact that Columbia High School is in the building. And I really appreciate y'all for coming. And Mr. Frazier right over there in the corner, he don't want me to point him out, really, makes a huge difference for the school. So looking at the students right now that are here, knowing that you are also a product of Metro Atlanta, what message do you have for them as they kind of continue to imagine their future and the possibilities ahead for them?
I'm proud of y'all for spending y'all afternoon with us and being able to be good scholars and folks that are good influencers on your community and contributors to the culture. And so you young people inspire me. I mean, I have to get up every day just like everyone else. I have aches and pains. I have a hard job, but my job gets lifted lighter when I get to see you. I can cry about this or cry about that, potholes or issues that I got to resolve each and every day. But when I get to talk to you or get to see you, you light up my life. And so most of my day is figuring out what your future is going to be. And so I hope that you are spending most of your day thinking about your future as well. People don't always get to see love. I mean, my pastor tells me that love ought to look like something. And so when people tell you that I love Atlanta or I love the people of Atlanta, if they don't show that, if you can't really feel it, if you don't see it, then that love ain't real. So I think when we was going back to this conversation about, social media, I think realness is going to start winning again. I think authenticity and genuineness is going to be the like our currency. Our currency is going to be our realness. So how authentic we are, our apologies being real, our efforts being real, our engagement being real. And your generation is going to be the one that is going to do that with us. And because, social media kind of exposes a whole lot. The fake, after a while, you can't fake it, but so long. Like the real is going to win out eventually. And so I hope that, you guys know that you got a city that's here for you. Sign up for things at the ATL Year of the Youth. Get you a job on there. We're paying last year was $16.50 and on dollars per hour on average. You could pay a whole lot of stuff with that, man. And so I appreciate y'all for being here. Much love to y'all.
There's a quote I saw recently that said, rest is not a reward from exhaustion.
Yeah.
So as we're on a journey to find the answers, what reset do we need as the community that needs the answers as well?
We used to have a stigma that we wouldn't talk about our mental health. We wouldn't talk about how we're feeling depressed or how we have anxiety or concerns or, loneliness is a part of this epidemic, this pandemic that's now an epidemic. Loneliness is a part of it. And how do we get lonely? Well, when we staring at a Zoom screen all month long, or when our mom works 2 jobs and our big sisters go home all the time. It's just me in the house. Loneliness becomes a problem. And so everybody ain't the same. And so, how to be able to communicate through these challenges. It's not over sympathizing. It's not making, kids weak and all that stuff. Cause we grew up in that era. I'm a Generation X. We talk about how tough we are. I started from the bottom. Now I'm here. Like 100 songs about it. Right? It's like every song was like, I got it from the mud. I'm on the grind. I'm like, hey, easy. Everything ain't gotta be so dang hard. You know what I mean? We literally want to make everybody tough. No, I went through a lot. So my daughter right now, she ain't tough. She cool. Yeah. She's tough in her own way, but she ain't got to get it out the mud.
Yeah. Resiliency looks different now than then.
Actually, we look disappointed at people who didn't have to, climb the hill both ways to go to school in the snow and all that. These stories are not absolutes for you to be somebody.
And we wanted to address the mental health journey, the family dynamics, socioeconomics, youth violence. To us, this is why we wanted to have this conversation, because to view it at one level doesn't do justice to the issues that we're facing every single day. So we appreciate your time, Mayor, and to tell us about Year of the Youth and everything going on in the city of Atlanta as well.
Good. Thank you all. Thank you for what y'all are doing for the young people in Atlanta and around the metro area so that they can live safe and healthy lives that are thriving and contributing to our future. And everything isn't just, these kids are criminals or they're going to go to a life of crime. There are some kids that are, living great lives, and we want them to be even greater. And so if we have everybody speaking the language of love and giving and being genuine about it, I think we're going to continue on this trend of seeing violent crime go down in our city and opportunities for kids to go up.
Absolutely. Right. Round of applause for Mayor Andre Dickens. Thank you so much, Mayor. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much for watching this special edition of 11 Alive Uninterrupted Black Youth Town Hall. This discussion with Mayor Dickens is just the beginning, and we're also talking to a well-known hip-hop artist that you're already familiar with, school leaders, and the youth on the sense of community that's needed now more than ever. Find the full conversation anytime on 11alive.com and stream it on 11 Alive Plus. Make a difference and touch the youth where they are.
Bringing that culture side to nice network.
I saw that the youth was looking up to us. And
We got a lot of programs, but it's not everything.
Thank you for joining this special edition of 11 Alive Uninterrupted Black Youth Town Hall. 11 Alive, thanks to our sponsor Grady Hospital, teamed up with local leaders, school officials, hip-hop artists, parents, and teens to talk about how we can keep our kids safe and give them the resources and guidance they need to thrive. From local nonprofit leaders to Atlanta Public Schools police chief, you will hear from people who have a direct role in impacting young teens' lives. One Atlanta native that you're already familiar with helped us kickstart this conversation at Auburn Avenue Research Library. Atlanta hip-hop artist Young Dro, a victim of gun violence himself, a story that he has already shared with us, is now using his platform to raise awareness about violence prevention.
we're gonna meet the kids where they are. You know, we're gonna give them a voice.
Launching an initiative called It Still Takes a Village, Young Dro is sparking conversations from Atlanta to LA, Chicago, and nationwide, helping guide kids away from violence.
I feel like I can be a voice and I know that I can make a change.
He pulled up to join me and V103's DJ Greg Street to talk about what he's doing and what we can all do as a community to keep our kids safe. Thank you so much for joining us.
What's up, Greg?
How you doing, sir?
Oh, pretty good. How you doing?
Dro, how you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing well, I'm doing well. This is a huge year for you.
Yes, it is.
It still takes a village.
Yes, it does.
Something that you really took to heart in, as far as impact in the community. Talk to us about when that concept sparked in your head, that it was on you to really make a difference.
It dawned on me, like, you know, in hip hop, we have, you know, like a bunch of people that, you know, come together to make music for the community.
Right.
I saw a lot of us getting murdered, you know, and the representation of that was just sad, you know, and I saw that the youth was looking up to us and, you know, we was dying on TV, you know what I mean? So it was just, I felt like I should take a stand on senseless gun violence, you know what I mean? And I wanted to speak out because, you know, we're showing the youth what to actually do. Like, you know, when you can walk up on a rapper and it's cool to kill somebody that everybody's cheering and championing on, it's almost like it's very sad. So I started to speak up about it, and we came up with It Still Takes a Village. You know, I know a lot of people probably heard of It Takes a Village.
Right,
You know, It Still Takes a Village stemmed from that. You know, I think it was important then, and I also think it's important now.
And I want to backtrack because you met Greg Street earlier on in your life.
Yeah.
01, 02. Greg, to see his evolution as a man, as a musician, as a mentor, as someone important to Atlanta, like, and to see this very moment, you know, how does that feel for you?
I mean, he
because
was
you
a-
had a front row seat to his success.
Yes.
He was always a special artist.
Okay.
He was signed to Raheem the Dream. He had a song called Yes Sir. Then Rocco with the Cartier Boys. So just to watch the whole movement now, we look at Dro now, every time we see him, he polo fresh and this and that. It's like when you wake up every day and you know your gift, you know your passion, if you work on that every day, it's gonna take some time. But if that's your gift and you work on it, it's gonna come to fruition. You just gotta be willing to put the time in. But the kids still don't know that there are more rich and wealthy people that are not famous than there are people that are famous. Because they're not doing the research. They don't know that it's 10 rich people behind Young Dro.
Yes.
They don't know it's 25 rich people behind T.I.
Yeah, everybody just pays attention to the limelight. When you go to the different schools, because you do a lot of mentorship in the schools too, and I've seen how much work you've done in Clayton County, Fulton County, so many different places. What do the youth tell you that they need, that they haven't received in their communities, in their households, in different places?
So what I mostly hear is the attention, you know, and the voice that's shut down that from the youth that they don't have anymore in their homes, and the disconnect with the fathers. I want to reach out to the guys, the OGs in Atlanta, some of the people out the hood, you know what I mean? Let's get back to fathering the sons, you know what I mean? And, you know, when they speak out and they say, well, our voices get shut down because our parents think they know everything. You can't just take away the voice of the child. You know, that's why they go out and try to find it through random people, you know, and then they saying they love you to total strangers.
And they're going to find that love somewhere else. One thing Greg said one time on social media, and I'm going to toss it back to you, is he said, we got to stop praying on each other and we have to start praying for each other.
Right.
Where does the praying on each other come from? Is it jealousy? Is it envy? I mean, when we talk about youth violence, when we talk about prevention, how do we shift it to praying for each other as a community?
We have to learn how to love one another. Well, you have to learn how to love yourself first.
Okay.
You know, because once you learn how to love yourself, once you learn how to love yourself, you wouldn't be so eager to hurt another person because you wouldn't hurt yourself.
And you don't want nobody to do it to you.
Once you love yourself that much, but you have to get that from your parents, people around you, your uncle, your auntie, well, whoever's caring for you at the moment, make sure they're pouring into you.
The challenge is really, though, the community.
Okay.
The challenge, I think we put too much on the artists, and we don't understand that a lot of artists don't have that foundation that Dro's speaking of.
Right.
So we put too much on the artists. We have, quote unquote, too many expectations of people and of things that we shouldn't expect anything from.
I challenge the hip hop community, the guys in the hip hop community, to put their egos to the side, man up, and help raise this community that involves our children.
You scroll through Young Dro's Instagram, it's just positivity, positivity, positivity. What response did you get from the community?
Well, I got a great response from people that want to grow.
Yeah.
but people people that are stagnant, that don't want to see change.
Yeah.
I kind of got no response at all. And I'm okay with that, because I want to touch people that actually want to move forward.
You never know who's watching you for those qualities that you could possess by just being focused and staying on track when it comes to your passion and things that involve your gift.
I feel like Greg got a chance to see your evolution from a mentorship standpoint. I got to see your evolution as a fan of the music. So to see you on this side with the difference you're making, I think is a full circle moment. So we appreciate your time. Round of applause for Young Dro. Thank you. We appreciate you. Next on 11 Alive Uninterrupted's Black Youth Town Hall.
Instead of charging a kid with a crime and ruining their lives with a criminal charge, we can look at all the options for them to explore.
From Atlanta Public Schools police chief to local nonprofit leaders, we're talking real solutions with people working the front lines. We can't talk about what's happening without hearing from those on the front lines working directly with Atlanta's youth. We sat down with 4 impact players in our city, starting with Gary Davis Sr., the founder of Next Level Boys Academy, a group dedicated to mentoring and fostering better futures for young boys and men. Ms. Shakira Rice, the Director of Community Engagement for Clayton County Schools. She's a former principal with more than 20 years of working with students and families. Chief Ronald Applin, the Executive Director of Office and Security for Atlanta Public Schools. He formerly served as Fulton County Deputy. And lastly, Jeffrey Gates, a gun violence survivor who now works in Grady Hospital's Ivy. That's Interrupting Violence with Youth and Young Adults program. Let's jump into that conversation with our 4 panelists. As you all heard the conversation from the mayor and also from Young Dro, what level of intervention is needed from your day-to-day experience in helping the youth, Gary?
I would say social skills.
Okay.
A lot of these young men that we work with I mean, we can blame their issues on so many things, but in my experience working with young men, they just don't know how to talk, when to talk, or where to talk. So when you got great social skills, man, it helps you deal with conflict, it helps you deal with some of this anger management, because when you can communicate effectively, there's so many things around you works better.
And Jeff Gates, thank you so much for the vulnerability in sharing your story, because I feel like the youth needs to hear from your lived experience. Tell us about how you've been able to use that mentorship opportunity to say, this is what happened to me, it could have taken my life, and this is how I can help you prevent that in your life too.
Yeah, I feel like the people around me, you know, just giving me love helped me turn that situation, that tragedy to triumph. I was just at the gas station, and so as I was walking back to my car, I heard the gunshots, but by the time I heard them, I had already been shot. And it was a real awakening for me, you know, in my life. It made me realize how precious life was. I was in the hospital for 3 months about something that I had nothing to do with. I'm a hospital violence intervention specialist. But what I do is, you know, I go talk to people and I just try to fill them up with love.
Right.
You know, the doctors in there, a lot of the doctors, they go in there and they all clinical. So they go in there and they heal you up, they pat you up. And then we come in there and we try to patch up your soul, try to give you resources in order to live a different life or a better life. And it really made me feel good to, you know, touch people's lives that look like me. I don't know if y'all familiar with Dr. Smith, but she like my angel. She came in and she stayed with me. And I just feel like that love that she gave me, I was able to transfer that and give that same love to other people, you know what I'm saying, just be there. But she is a person that I felt like I didn't have to answer to, but she was a person that I wanted to answer to.
In any situation, there's always a good side. There's always a positive side. And the whole thing, it just depends on how you choose to deal with it when you engage in the situation.
And Chief Applin, you working with the youth directly in Atlanta Public Schools, tell me about the need that you see every single day and how you choose to intervene and guide them through some of the challenges they face.
And we start with mental health. I mean, the mayor was spot on. He has a pulse in of this city that's unbelievable. It's hard to believe anybody could recognize all those things, but he recognizes all of the issues. If we start with mental health, you know, we really need to really get ahead of that. But if they can recognize that, we can do something different. Instead of charging a kid with a crime and ruining their lives with a criminal charge, we can look at all the options for them to explore instead of doing things like that. So we talk about mental health.
And I think this is a great moment to bring in Ms. Rice. During the pandemic, the efforts that your team in Clayton County took for North Clayton Middle School, where there was a drive-through line that parents could come pick up lunches, to come pick up breakfast. The amount of mentorship that you provided while you were a principal at North Clayton was so impactful that it just took my breath away. Tell me about how you teach with compassion and with grace to kids who oftentimes don't receive it in society.
Great question, and thank you again for this opportunity, but you touched on it. I truly believe that every child needs a high five. 5 caring adults outside of their home. You mentioned Ms. Smith, I want to say,
Smith.
Dr. Smith.
She's a surgeon.
The surgeon, taking time to speak to you, check on you, show you that she cares, and so in hand, you wanted to please her. You didn't want to let her down because she was pouring into you. She believed in you, so you did not want to let her down.
That's true.
That's how we do it. We get involved in our kids' lives. In my community where I served as principal, my kids were used to people coming in and out of their lives. So the teachers I hired, the coaches I hired, the mentor organizations we partner with to come, I had to feel them to understand, to know myself that they were not hit it and quit it type.
And I know Greg has been to North Clayton many times to mentor the youth as well,
Yes,
right?
he's in it.
A couple times.
He's in it. I mean, he came so often, the kids were like, hey, Greg. I mean, it's like, hey, Greg.
Yeah.
Because his heart is so with kids and with the community and with education. He has not wavered.
Still to come on 11 Alive Uninterrupted's Black Youth Town Hall. The teens take the mic to ask questions directly to our panelists. Hear what's on their mind. Next.
So anyone in the audience who has a question, please don't hesitate to ask them questions as well, because we want to hear from y'all.
No such thing as a dumb question.
There we go.
No such thing.
Ladies first. There we go.
I know you, Columbia, represent.
My question is, what efforts are being taken to recreate and build the relationships in the community with the youth and the adults? Because I feel like that's where lots of it stem from. We don't have nobody, or they feel like they can't talk to us, because lots of the time is, oh, this generation is so, this generation. But what are y'all, or what efforts are being taken to pour into us or help us to where we feel like, okay, we're as a community, we can grow now because we're together?
On behalf of us parents, I apologize. You know, parenting is the only thing in the world that does not come with a manual. You know, we get a manual, we buy a refrigerator, car, but parenting, it doesn't come with that. To answer your question, what we do at Next Level Boys Academy, the thing about it is we are a family type organization, because this organization is structured that it's going to take the entire family to get our goals accomplished for what you all are going through, because y'all have multiple things that y'all are going through. But there's nothing in the world that's more pleasing to a young person is to see their mom and dad have a healthy conversation about them.
In Clayton County Public Schools, we have a program called the CAB program, a caring adult in the building. So every scholar from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade has at least one caring adult in that building that they can always go to.
I'm Kamari Jenkins. I attend Columbia High School in Decatur. I'm the vice president of Men of Columbia, which is a club at my school. And for my question, I graduated in 2026. But for my question, I wanted to know, what type of resources are you all willing to donate and give away to our communities? And for how long are you willing to give us those resources?
I feel like the biggest asset that I can give you for the longest period of time is me. That's what I can give you, bro. And like, all I can do is, be here for you as a big brother, as a mentor, and talk to you. And hopefully, you'll listen. But I won't give up on you. I'm gonna stay down, and I got you, bro.
I got a question for Mr. Gator. I was trying to see if you always had like the confidence to speak and feel like you can put love into people, or did you gain that after you had your incident?
It came from my mama, man. She get all the credit for it, man. My mama raised us with love. It's in us, It can't be on you, it got to be in you. My mom, but she definitely raised us that way. When I got shot, it just gave me an opportunity. I met the right people, and it gave me a voice in order to be heard.
One of the things that I think that's very important is time. We're going to give you time, and I'm giving you my time. I give my time. My office is one of the things that we do. One of the things I demand, you got to give your time.
It's every day. You have to wake up and understand, I got a mission. I got a goal to accomplish. I have a gift. I have a God-given gift. And in order for me to reach my full potential, on a daily basis, I have to work on that gift.
Thank you so much for sharing that. When we first came up with the idea to do the Black Youth Town Hall, for me to be a product from Metro Atlanta, I knew it was my responsibility to let the youth know there is a way out and there's always solutions. Last year around this time, I went to Columbia High School to talk to the students, telling them about my career, all my accomplishments and everything, and that you can aim for the stars and be successful. And one student just raised his hand and he said something very honest. He said, "Why should I believe you?" And that's when I knew that the version of me I was presenting to him felt unattainable and it felt unrelatable. And I said, look, I grew up in public housing. I had a mom who worked 2 jobs, right? Minimum wage. But you have to see someone on my end to know what's possible on your end. So I think it's on all of us to do what we need to do to hand back the imagination that the kids need to reach their fullest potential. And for me to listen to Greg Street, like all my years of growing up to intern for him, I knew I made it when I interned with him. Like, I needed to accomplish nothing else but to be his intern. So to have him on this stage with me, to have this conversation with y'all, and to know y'all on a personal level, it just means a lot to me. So thank you so much for being part of the first one. And it won't be the last. Thank you so much for tuning in to 11 Alive Uninterrupted Black Youth Town Hall. We compiled a list of resources available right now to help the youth in our city, and you can find those on our website, 11alive.com.